You've probably seen hashtag release the Snyder Cut around, and you've likely seen that Zack Snyder's Justice League is releasing on HBO Max very soon. So what's this whole Snyder Cut really about? There are two very distinct angles people are coming at this with: a 2.5-year long journey culminating with achieving the impossible, and didn't this movie come out years ago? So the quick answer is, this is a new film that you might recognize some of. Although if you watch the 2017 film, I'm not sure what the chances are that you even remember it. The plot will likely be similar, but the story will be different. Originally, Justice League was the third film in Zack Snyder's DCEU film series after Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. Originally supposed to be the first of 3 Justice League films, it is now the final film in this Snyderverse trilogy. Warner Media wanted DC to be their Marvel, and gave Zack Snyder the reins after he did the impossible with Watchmen. After losing faith in him during the release of Batman v Superman, they slowly reeled back control until, and big oversimplification here, the death of his daughter was used as an excuse to take away control. Justice League was homogenized into something that Marvel would make, which isn't inherently bad, it's just that it was being done with footage that was not made to be used in a fashion like this. $25 million worth of the film was rewritten and reshot, which was reported by the studio to be about 20% of the film. With a studio mandate of a maximum 2-hour runtime, it comes out to only about 24 minutes of the film reshot. Although if we're taking into account the original 214-minute runtime, that would come out to about 43 minutes of footage. But this can't be right, as they were filming reshoots for over 2 months, and allegations from on set say that the pace of filming was quite grueling. That's at least 2/3 of all principal photography on most feature films, and this is where we get into issues and misconceptions that have been spread around about the film and this upcoming version of it. I don't want to make this a puff piece about praising Zack Snyder or his ultimate vision. This video shouldn't be particularly about him. This is about the rallying force of people with nothing but passion and good intentions in their heart. People that did something that had never been achieved before. But I do just want to preface this with some info that seems to not be common knowledge at this point. So the 2017 theatrical release of Justice League was exactly 2 hours long. The upcoming film Zack Snyder's Justice League is just over 4 hours long. The most conservative estimate is that there is 146 minutes of new footage, which comes out to 2 hours and 26 minutes. But it doesn't stop there. Fabian Wagner, the cinematographer for the original film, says that they threw out 90% of the footage he and Snyder shot from the original 214-minute runtime. That means there is only 22 minutes of Snyder's footage and 220 minutes of new footage in the Snyder Cut. So if we spread that out to scale, there's not much that's going to be retread. These are obviously two extremes of a studio trying to cover up their changes and an artist seeing his work become unrecognizable. So with that, this is by definition a new movie. It's not an extended edition like the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman, but its own film. It's more like the way that a musical artist might use a sample. It's still a new song, it just reinterprets something that came before. But in this case, the sample was made by the artist for this new song and was used before release for another song. The smallest of changes can transform a piece of art, so changes this large will more than likely make it unrecognizable. So sure, it's its own film, but what about these dimensions? It's like a 70s TV. People assume that the image has been cropped to this size for some stylistic reason. A good way to put it is it's actually the same way it works on your phone. Videos cropped to 16:9, photos are taken with the entire sensor in 4:3. More images being displayed on the screen because the film was composed for IMAX before it ever was coming to streaming. So even those shots you've seen already are now uncropped from their 2017 counterparts. All the shots are composed in a way specifically for these dimensions, and cropping it down could make you lose essential information. This was the first time a feature of this size had been entirely shot in these dimensions. which would later be taken on by Avengers Infinity War and Endgame for a mostly gimmicky cash grab, just for it to be cropped in the home release, and now 26% of the screen is gone for the rest of the time. Besides, the entire purpose of the project is to release a creator's vision, and if that vision includes this, then great. It's likely that most people's brains will ignore the black bars just as they do with widescreen movies. This is a normal image you'll get with a movie. This is in 16:9, and now this is what you will actually get. And if you're still really against it, I guess you can just do this. Okay, why is any of this important to anyone? It's just another superhero movie, why should I care? Something like this has never happened before. It's not like the outrage with Disney's Star Wars movies or the issues with the ending of Game of Thrones. This wasn't fans' outrage at something going according to plan behind the scenes, and that plan being flawed. This was outrage to a tragedy that was used as a scapegoat to achieve the opposite of that original plan. It's a first because there was never a way for this to happen in history before. Never has there been a time where fans could group together as a force across the globe to make change like this. This, combined with the perfect storm that was Warner AT&T needing a heavy hitter for their streaming service HBO Max. This had a fairly large guaranteed audience that fought for the ability to watch it, a relatively small budget as the film was almost entirely shot already, and the ability to make them look like the good guys to the public. An angle that proved to be the only way to allow Snyder to make his vision his way, without the interference that he was plagued with for the production of the original film he had his part in. This is a story of a man with a vision. That vision may be imperfect, like all visions are, but it was his. This is the story of a man that fought through the worst of times and stumbled across those that had a dream to see him succeed. Fighting with everything they had, together they passed insurmountable odds and became the exception to every rule. Over these last few years, we've worked ourselves into a corner, but not one of expectation. At this point, it doesn't really matter if the film is good or not. It's just that it's what Snyder intended. It's about having a vision realized. The quality of the film is just a bonus. There's something about the way that classic films are brought up in the public consciousness. We continually experience them over the time of our lives. When people watch the original trilogy of Star Wars for the first time as an adult, their reactions and opinions are usually quite tame compared to those who've watched it almost 4 decades ago. Over the years, their appreciation grows with the experiences they have. Similar to this, on a smaller scale, shows that are binged, and this is just to me personally, seem to have less attachment to the viewer than shows that come out on a weekly basis. The conversations and discussions in between the episodes contribute to the overall appreciation of the content. And for me, being involved with this movement for over 2 years, I've already gotten all the enjoyment out of this I need, so the only thing left is for it to be fully realized. I didn't say any names in this because I felt that telling the group as a single entity was the direction I wanted to take instead of a bunch of separate individuals. Because in a group of individuals, there are obviously issues with people going too far, and there was a lot of this in the movement, and I don't support any of that, but overall I feel it was a very powerful net positive. If you care anything about this, its message, its implications on the future of film, or just the movie itself, buy the film, rent the film, speak with your money, and just don't pirate. So, restore the Snyderverse, I guess. Maybe not, at least not yet. Let the movie speak for itself, and we'll see from there. The hand of Hollywood will always be there, but this movement is something that pushes creators in a direction to create art and not just escapism. Create something that comes from passion and not just financial gain. Create content that can both be enjoyed by the masses and art that can be dissected and learned from. We raised over $500,000 for suicide prevention and created a community that bonds over our love of film and changing the world.
Hey guys, just a quick word of thanks. You know as well as I do that none of this would be at all possible without your incredible dedication and incredible perseverance. This whole thing started and I thought, it's amazing that these guys want to see what I made, but I was sure it would go away, and it didn't. Not only did it not go away, but it started to become a real movement. And I saw it raise awareness for ASFP. I saw it bring a giant group of people together. And I saw one voice that changed the world and made anything possible. So for that, I just want to say thank you. You guys are amazing.